Hi everyone, in this video we are going to see how to calculate the area of a triangle when two angles and any one side length have been provided. Let's suppose we have a triangle ABC, as you can see in the diagram, where the side length AB is denoted by lowercase c units, side length BC is denoted by lowercase a units, and side length AC is denoted by lowercase b units. And also the angle BAC, which is near the vertex A, it is being denoted by uppercase A units, and angle ABC, which is near the vertex B, is denoted by uppercase B units, and the angle BCA, which is near the vertex C, is denoted by uppercase C units. Now let's suppose we have been provided with the two angles A and B and also the side length A. Now with this information we have to see how we can calculate the area of this triangle. Since we have been provided with two angles of the triangle, we can easily calculate the size of the third angle, that will be 180 degree minus A minus B. Also we can write it as 180 degree minus the sum of the two given angles. And if the angles are provided in radian unit, then we can do the calculation like this. We can say then the third angle, which is C, will be equal to pi minus the sum of the two given angles. Now from the first video on the area of triangle, we know that when two sides and the included angle are provided, then the area formula for the triangle would be something like this. If we are provided with the two sides A and B and the angle C, which is the included angle, then the formula for the area of this triangle would be half times A times B times sine of C. Now in this case we have been provided with two angles and one side. We have not been provided with two sides, so we have to do a little bit of trick here, and I'm going to show you what to do. So now from the sine law we know that A over sine A is equal to B over sine B is equal to C over sine C, and from here if we take the first part of the proportionality, we can say A over sine A is equal to B over sine B, and from here we can easily find the value of B in terms of A and sine of A and sine of B. And we can see that B is equal to A times sine of B over sine of A. Now I am going to use this value of B in the formula on the left hand side. So that formula can be written as half times A times, in place of B I have written A times sine of B over sine of A times sine of C. And if we simplify this a little bit, it is going to look like half times A squared times sine of B times sine of C over sine of A. Now here you can see that we have been provided with two angles A and B, and from there we calculated the value of C. So now we know all three angles pretty much, and also we have been provided with the side length A. So with all that information we can easily calculate the area using this formula. So essentially it really does not matter which two angles we are provided with, because no matter which angles we are provided with, we can always calculate the third angle, because the sum of the angles of a triangle is 180 degree or pi radian, and from there if we are given the values of two angles, then we can easily calculate the third angle. So for a triangle, if we are provided with two angles, that means indirectly we have been provided with all three angles, because we can easily calculate the third one, right? Now let's suppose what would be the formula when we are provided with the side length B. Well, let's find that out. Now using the same basic formula for area of triangle, let me write it again. Now from the sine law, can we also say that A will be equal to B times sine of A over sine of B. Now let's try to use this value here on the left hand side. So here we can say then this is equal to half times, in place of A I am going to write B times sine of A over sine of B, times we have B times sine of C, and as you can see that this is going to convert into half times B squared times sine of C times sine of A over sine of B. So this is the formula for the area of the triangle when we are provided with the side length B, and of course two other angles. Next we are going to try and find out what would be the formula when the side length C is provided along with two other angles. Let me use the same original formula for the area of this triangle. So we can say area of the original triangle is equal to half times A times B times sine of C. Now from the sine law, let's try to find out the value of A in terms of C and also value of B in terms of C. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this proportionality. Let's say A over sine A is equal to C over sine C, and from here we can say then A will be equal to C times sine of A over sine of C. Also let's try to find out B in terms terms of c. So for that we are going to take b over sine b is equal to c over sine c, and from here we can say then b will be equal to c times sine of b over sine of c. And let's use these two values in place of a and b on the left hand side. So here we can say then this is equal to half times, in place of a I am going to write c times sine of a over sine of c, times in place of b I am going to write c times sine of b over sine of c, times we have sine of c. And if we simplify this, this is going to look like half times c squared. We have two c's, right here is one right here and here is another one, so that would be half times c squared, and then one of the sine of c in the numerator and in the denominator, they will cancel out each other. So we are going to be left with half times c squared times sine of a times sine of b over sine of c, and this is the third formula. So when we are provided with the side length c along with two other angles, of course, then we can use this third formula to calculate the area of the triangle. Next we are going to take an example. Let's suppose we have been provided the values of the angles a and b. A is equal to 30 degree and b is equal to 60 degree, and the side length a is 5 centimeter, and we have to find the area of the triangle. So let's try to solve it. Now we can use the first formula because we have been provided with the side length a, and we can use that formula. But before we can do that, let's try to calculate the value of c. So c will be equal to 180 degree minus the sum of the two given angles, which are 30 degree and 60 degree. So this will be equal to 180 degree minus 90 degrees, so that will be 90 degrees. That means this is a right triangle, which is okay, no problem. Now what would be the area then? Well, we can say area will be equal to half times a squared times sine of b times sine of c over sine of a, and if we substitute the values here, then we are going to have half times a is actually 5 centimeters, so that would be 5 squared times sine of b, so that would be sine of 60 degree times sine of c, which is sine of 90 degree, over sine of a, that is sine of 30 degree. Now let's simplify this. So from here we can say this is equal to half times 25 times what is sine of 60 degree, that is square root of 3 over 2, times what is sine of 90 degree, that is 1, and over sine of 30 degree, that is 1/2, and this will be equal to 25 times square root of 3 over 2, and that will be equal to 21.65. And what would be the unit? Well, unit would be square centimeter because we are talking about area here. So we must denote the area in the square units. So in this case, since A has been provided as 5 centimeter, the area would be 21.65 square centimeter. I hope everything made sense. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.